Hey, everyone, lovely listeners. Just a heads up because of the circumstances regarding the production of Justice League and what happened with Zack Snyder, we will be talking about suicide a little bit this episode. So proceed at your own caution and remember to take care of yourselves. On with the show.
Welcome to Marvelous or the Death of Cinema. We're doing the Justice League. We're doing the Whedon cut of the Justice League. We're doing the Snyder cut of the Justice League. We're going to be talking about Justice League comics, probably.
Maybe.
Justice League. Imagine if there was a league dedicated to justice.
I want to kill Joss Whedon with my bare hands.
So I was right about everything once again, and the Whedon cut was bad. The Snyder cut was good. Nicole will be moving to India, where she will do 300 years of three like karma cycles of apologizing to Zack Snyder until she reaches enlightenment.
Oh yeah, our listeners from India, of which there are at least two, are going to be thrilled because I think we all liked this. We all liked the Snyder cut.
I liked it until the last 15 minutes when Jared Leto and Jesse Eisenberg showed up, and it was like being punched in the face.
Okay, but you also got Martian Manhunter, which was sick.
I don't really care about Martian Manhunter. I don't really have any frame of reference for him. He just kind of showed up as a CGI guy. He's like, I'm Martian now.
Who hunts men?
Man,
were you in the age bracket for like the Justice League cartoon when it originally
I didn't watch.
Out?
No, I didn't. No. I didn't watch any of the cartoons. Unfortunately, I was of the age though.
I don't think I watched Batman the animated series. And a bit of the Superman series, but I don't think I ever saw, like, a lot of that stuff kind of came out around the time we lost a lot of channels and
due to 9/11.
Due to
9/11 took a lot from us. That's the main thesis of the show is 9/11 ruined superhero movies, but it also just ruined a bunch of other cool shit too.
So, I guess we watched both versions of Justice League and we decided to do one episode kind of comparing and contrasting both. We didn't really think a Whedon Justice League episode would stand on its own
because it would be me, it was just kind of screaming and making death threats.
Yeah,
it's a bad movie.
It's really like they really fucked that movie up,
which is crazy because the Snyder cut is in that movie. Like everything that is in the Whedon cut, with like a few exceptions, is in the Snyder cut. It's just
there's a few whole scenes that were reshot, and
I wouldn't.
There are.
I would dispute, like, first off, if it wasn't abundantly clear from the thing, I'm very, very sure Miguel is going to have to censor. This is the worst fucking movie. At least for real, one of the worst fucking movies I have ever fucking seen in my life. Just on the outset, I had before we even touched the like production nightmare that was the Whedon cut of this movie. I had been under the presumption that it had been a mutual, like, Zack Snyder handing it off to Joss Whedon sort of thing, and I did my research this time around, and that was very much not the case. And sort of the circumstances we'll get into as to why Snyder ultimately left the original production of the movie. Just learning about it made me sick to my stomach. It's like one of the most evil fucking things I think a studio has ever done. Like, unsurprisingly, Warner Brothers is just like consistently done these sort of things to like directors, but in this case, it just personally like made me sick to my stomach. So going into this movie, I already did not have a favorable opinion of it. And then I watched it. It doesn't technically qualify as a movie. Everything in there is like designed to anger me. By the end of our watching of it, I think I scared both of you with how angry I was.
We did record our reactions to the theatrical cut of Justice League.
You can hear it yourself.
If you would like to hear us all be drained of our life force over the course of exactly 1 hour and 59 minutes and 59 seconds, patrons can do so. First, I think we should attempt. I'll try and attempt a more or less concise summary of the plot of the films, parentheses S. The plot. I mean, the plot is basically the same. It's just the theatrical cut's missing a ton of stuff and moves a bunch of stuff around. And then we can go from there. So we've got Batman, and he feels guilty about the death of Superman, and he perceives a ominous alien threat looming on the horizon, and he is putting together a team. This team consists of Aquaman, the aquatic man. He doesn't want to get involved because he's just kind of a cynic, and well, his motives, like most of the characters, are kind of unclear in the theatrical cut. But in the full version, he's kind of just like a cynic. Doesn't really trust. He's not a joiner.
Yeah, because he's been burned by his people, you know.
Yeah, by the politics of Atlantis and such things. There's Wonder Woman, who is she's all in on joining the nascent Justice League. Because she's learned to care about humans after falling in love with a guy who died very stupidly 100 years ago.
But also in the 80s.
And also in the 80s,
yeah,
which we haven't watched yet. And then there's the Flash. He's kind of an annoying
Miller, everybody.
dork.
You know what? Actually, I'm disagreeing. Ezra Miller belongs in prison, but the performance that he gives in this movie, like, I get why they gave him an Oscar.
It fits the
Ezra Miller was not nominated for an Oscar.
Defined, but it's just kind of a
the scene of
something. What are you talking about?
Him, no, he has an Oscar for this, or they have an Oscar for this scene because.
Was it no? That fucking fake ass category
MCU
did not count.
It counts. It counts because they made it to give it to the MCU and Snyder won.
I know, but it wouldn't still have been real.
All right,
but anyway,
we'll get to that when we finish the summary. And then we've got Cyborg.
Also great.
Great,
right?
Great in the yes. Snyder cut. Done so fucking dirty.
They cut almost everything
awful.
About him.
He's the heart
and
of the movie.
Screw with what's left pretty bad. Yeah, because he's probably the strongest. Every one of these characters, more or less, maybe in the case of Wonder Woman less, but with Gal Gadot, that's for the best. Gets an arc and gets like a whole thing. Like it's like 2 hours in the full version before our Justice League is actually like properly assembled.
I liked her and I liked Gal Gadot in this movie just because every time they go back to the Amazons, it is the most like Final Fantasy fucking Xbox 360 cutscene ass shit.
It really looks like it's kind of actually I mostly like the way this movie looks, aside from some occasionally dodgy effects. But everything that happens on the Amazon island, what's it called again? Something
Themyscira.
Themyscira, thank you. Looks a little bit like it's got that sepia color grading from 300, kind of.
Yeah. And in the movie, they kept the sepia color grading. They just they fucked with the armor to make it look red so that you remember that these are the Wonder Woman people. And that change in a nutshell is why the Whedon cut fucking sucks, because it is taking something that is already about as unsubtle as a nuclear bomb and making it like even more dumbed down for audiences. Like Snyder's not a subtle guy, but he does treat you like a human being.
Which we will get to when I conclude my concise plot summary.
Sorry.
My increasingly not concise plot summary.
Sorry, I'm actually one quarter Indian on
Yeah, what are you, me?
Cyborg Victor Stone, his dad is a scientist working on the what's his name? We'll get to that.
Joe Morton.
Thank you, Joe Morton. Working on the crashed Kryptonian spaceship, who uses
Star Labs
alien technology to fix his genius star quarterback son who loses half his body in a car accident. Some real there's a cool shot of him all kind of RoboCop-y hanging from a slab.
We liked that brief flash to it in Batman v Superman.
And he's kind of he's kind of going through sort of like a Frankenstein's monster kind of dilemma about who and what he is and his relationship to his father.
The Frankenstein stuff in this movie is so good.
And the Flash is kind of a little bit of a great power, great responsibility sort of thing. His dad's in jail for murdering his mom, which he didn't do. And he's kind of like the gee whiz, I want to hang with Batman and deal. And they all come together. They all find conclusion in their arcs, and they all go out in pursuit of the mother boxes, which are 3 magic space cubes from the dawn of time that, when brought together, will annihilate the Earth. And Steppenwolf, the servant of Darkseid, the kind of space Satan, Sauron of this universe, who's conquered a million billion worlds,
temporarily disgraced due to Mean Girl office politics.
Yeah, Steppenwolf is. Yeah. So he's trying to get back in Darkseid's good graces by conquering Earth, finding the mother boxes, and finding, more importantly, the anti-life equation, which Darkseid is seeking.
I soy-faced and clapped when I remembered that they just know, like, Snyder. It's like a foot long. It's like a foot long, and like it hangs, because he fucking went for it, man. He was like, we're putting the anti-life equation in here.
Over the course of 4 hours, we develop our in the full cut. We develop our characters. We battle for and find the mother boxes, and in a desperate attempt to defeat Steppenwolf, who they can't seem to best in a fight, they take the one that they still have that Cyborg's dad used to make him cyborg, and they all kind of combine their powers to activate it and resurrect Superman, who's dead from the last movie.
Which is the reason why Steppenwolf came to Earth, because I guess Kryptonians' cocks are so huge that like the Darkseid aliens are genuinely
the mother boxes
unleash the death of the big dick energies protecting Earth.
So Cyborg's dad activated one of the mother boxes, but they didn't do their reach out to Sauron thing until Superman died. The movie opens on Superman's death scream, kind of radiating out across the planet.
The Snyder cut, the
Snyder cut does.
The Whedon cut opens with a very disconcerting video of Henry Cavill and his gross upper lip.
I finish my extremely not concise plot summary.
The first frame is also a reference to Borbid's Excalibur, which is fucking sick. Okay, you can go now. Anyway, I had to get that out.
They bring back Superman. He kind of has he sort of flips out because he doesn't know who he is and beats them all in the fight. Then Lois Lane arrives and reactivates his brain. And they fly to his farmhouse, have a nice little moment. The rest of the Justice League goes to fight Steppenwolf at the lair he's created in not Chernobyl. Superman arrives at the last minute to turn the tide. Everybody combines their powers together to get Cyborg into the combined mother boxes and decombine them before they end the world.
At least in the Snyder cut, it doesn't work.
Yes, in the Snyder cut, it doesn't work, and Flash has to go
Oh, right,
supersonic
yeah.
speed in order
that
to
scene was
reverse
so
time.
fucking cool, man. That was so
He
cool.
actually, Flash gets got by a stray alien space laser, and
I cried at that scene.
Does his Flash thing where he goes back in time to make it work, and then Steppenwolf gets like
Beheaded by Wonder Woman.
punched. Yeah, he gets punched through the air. He gets impaled by Aquaman, punched through the air by Superman, and beheaded by Wonder Woman before
That
his
rocked.
remains fly through the portal to land at Darkseid's feet, which is
that did
so
rock.
fucking over the top that it kind of wrapped around to being pretty sick.
The Snyder cut, I will say, does not deserve an R rating for that. Like, there's
It's
such
got
a
some kind of
it's
like
a bare like
edited in gore that and a couple
not
fucks that just
R-rated
barely
gore,
put it over the
though.
line into an R rating.
Yeah.
It shouldn't even be. It's like in between, like that used to be what like regular PG-13 used to be.
There's like blood spurts in the movie at the Amazon fight, but you don't notice them.
Yeah. And then we get like 3 epilogues where first we kind of get a little denouement where everybody goes off to be superheroes. Then we get Batman having one of those like soap opera bad dreams where Lois Lane dies, and it's the apocalyptic future they teased in Batman v Superman, where Superman's turned evil and works for Darkseid, and it's like Batman and the Joker and was that guy Deathstroke? Oh, the other epilogue where Lex Luthor and a guy who is apparently Deathstroke, who's like a one of those like eye patch ninja machine gun guys.
Yeah, he was the OG.
Yes, and, Snyder brought him
he's
back.
Like, I'm putting together the Injustice League, and then we get Batman's apocalyptic dream, where him and the Joker have a little face-off with just like a kind of handful of stray characters from the last couple movies who've apparently survived. And talk about how they're going to do time travel to fix the apocalyptic future. And then we get another epilogue where Martian Manhunter shows up at Batman's vacation house and is like, I'm Martian Manhunter. I will see you in the next movie that won't come out.
Originally, that was supposed to be
Green Lantern. There's an Emerald cut, which I learned the other day. There's a fucking other one of these things floating around.
They wanted to do Green Lantern, and WB was like, no, we're doing that HBO series that now no longer exists to launch Green Lantern.
Yeah, there are lanterns in the we get one of those Lord of the Rings flashbacks to the original great battle from 10,000 years ago, where the Amazons and the Atlanteans and the Greek gods and the and the Lantern Corps all teamed up to fight Darkseid's first attempt to conquer Earth.
It's so funny. In the Whedon cut, it's like 5 minutes long, and then in the Snyder cut, it's like a 30-minute long extended battle sequence. It's fucking sick.
But in both versions, Zack Snyder decided to give the exposition dialogue to Gal Gadot.
I genuinely forgot that she even had lines in this movie.
So the Whedon cut has all the same basic plot elements, but they're all rendered incomprehensible because the movie has been, aside from all the bad reshoots, been cut to shit to literally come in at exactly 2 hours.
Hacked 2 pieces.
It's the character motivations all become almost incomprehensible. The plot you can barely follow, and the pacing is just like there's no rising or falling action. It's just ba-da. And your eyes just glaze over the whole time, and you don't understand what's happening or why.
There's a great moment if you watch our Patreon commentary, where I'm trying to explain to Nicole and Stu like what's supposed to be happening in this movie, and then I did not need to. I mean, we didn't watch the Snyder cut together, but I assume you guys did not need a Cole exposition.
No.
No,
I perfectly understood the full version, and I mean, like it's 4 hours long.
It would be very hard to misunderstand anything at
Yeah.
4 hours long.
And it's hard for me. Like, part of me wants to say that like this type of movie doesn't need to be 4 hours long, but like
it does.
everybody gets something to do.
It's so
like
sad. Like, yeah.
they're kind
The
of
last
just
15
working a
minutes can go,
Flash
though.
movie and a Cyborg movie into a Justice League movie. And I mean, like, I had a lot of problems with Batman v Superman. Even though I liked the director's cut of that a lot more than the theatrical cut, I was still like, I didn't really like the movie overall.
Oh, no, the director's cut is unquestionably probably better.
Because it was trying to be too many movies at once. This movie is also trying to be too many movies at once, but it manages to be all those movies more or less effectively.
And
Because
you know
it is
why they
4
accomplish
hours.
that?
Because it is 4
One,
hours.
Because it's 4 hours, but
Yeah.
the film is structured like a comic book. It has
parts. It's
it has
divided.
parts. It has parts.
Yeah, I was
It
able
is.
to
It's like
watch it
reading
over
like a
multiple nights.
6-issue volume, like graphic novel published volume sort of deal.
It really reminded me of reading 80s DC comics, because 80s DC comics, especially like Marv Wolfman ones, they love to have like 8 different epilogues all setting up like the next issue. Like half the book would be ending stingers. In fucking Teen Titans, you'd be getting like 6, 7 epilogues. And this movie has that, but it also has just it's perfectly structured around these parts. They have little like episode titles, which I love.
Little title cards, yeah. And that, at least that gives you, like, if you're watching at home, which I mean, this did come out on streaming ultimately, it gives you a point to pause it gives you a natural point to pause the movie and take a piss and grab a snack or whatever you need to do.
I like that.
Yeah, and each little part, each little title serves as like that part's thesis. You know, they have
they're all quotes from the upcoming part too. It's, I think with the Snyder cut, we finally find the marriage of we find Zack Snyder meeting the right material for his sensibility and style.
Yeah, I think this is, as far as cape shit stuff, the best thing he's ever done.
Whereas Batman v Superman and Man of Steel have all of that David Goyer, Christopher Nolan like sued bullshit weighing them down, which like it worked for The Dark Knight once, and then it didn't work for anything else after.
No.
And this movie had a totally different writer.
Well, it's Chris Terrio again.
Chris Terrio,
who did Argo,
it is
with contributions by Joss Whedon. We'll get to that.
And
I think is that just for the Snyder? Because
just for the Snyder. Just for the Snyder. No, I mean the Whedon cut.
It's funny because Whedon's name isn't anywhere in the credits for the Whedon cut.
It's not. No, yeah, he Alan Smithy that shit.
The Whedon cut might as well have been directed by Alan Smithy, as I said in the commentary track.
Yeah,
I guess he does have a writing credit on Batman v Superman, but so does David Goyer.
At least not on the Wikipedia page, but whatever.
Oh, on IMDb, Batman v Superman is David Goyer and Chris Terrio. And I say, removing David Goyer from the equation and his irritating like
10 times
contrivances.
Yeah, it
really helps this movie too.
It really does, yeah.
But as we know, the Whedon cut, adding Joss Whedon to it is like, what if we had David S. Goyer, but like he was actually a terrible person?
Chris Terrio did Rise of Skywalker immediately before.
Oh no,
dude! Talk about fucking like just like
crash and burn,
fucking burn, dude.
Academy Award-winning writer.
Also credited writers J.J. Abrams and Derek. I don't know who Derek Connolly is, but I don't know. J.J. Abrams. Was a hack. And I can't stand him.
Yeah, no, dude. This movie is the most Snyder, and it's also the best these movies get. Like,
easily. Like Batman v Super. Like this is like Man of Steel. We found things, at least it was like there was things you could talk about it. It was like aiming for stuff, but it didn't work at all for me. Batman v Superman mostly didn't work for me, but like I could see glimmers of a good movie if you like filtered a bunch of shit out.
Yeah, I think the director's cut is like an okay. Like I wouldn't turn
the director's cut's okay. Yeah. It wasn't like I didn't tune out the way I did the theatrical cut of that. But it had a ton of problems.
Still think Jesse Eisenberg should be tried and hanged.
But
I disagree.
The Snyder cut of Justice League is like it's all the like glimmers of the good movie that I saw in Batman v Superman in the Ultimate Cut. It
it's
was
crazy.
like
It's insane. Like I
and they
literally
just had to finally step away from the Nolan Goyer sued bullshit and just kind of make a straight ahead epic comic
yeah.
book
When
story.
before I saw the Snyder cut, I was a Nicole type person. I was like, fuck Zack Snyder, all his movies are like dude bro shit. And then I watched this, and I was literally
Okay.
like the dude he did. I mean, that was me. That was me. That wasn't you.
Okay.
That was me. No, yeah. That was, but I was more on Nicole's side than where I'm at now. I was not. I didn't like Batman versus Superman or Man of Steel, but I'd only seen the theatrical cut of Batman versus Superman. I now like it a little bit more, even if I think that it's pales in comparison to the Snyder cut. Like when this came out, I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. It's the pandemic. I don't have anything really to do. I can watch a 4-hour movie. By the time the fucking credits rolled, I was like weeping like a baby. I was like, I guess I was wrong.
Can I let me piggyback off of that just because again, this is like the Snyder. Okay, the Snyder cut to the Whedon theatrical release is like the ultimate like relative to each other, like atomic bomb versus coughing baby I've ever
Yeah.
seen. Like it's absolutely no question. And again, for me having like learned about the circumstances regarding Autumn Snyder, which I'll quote uh I'll probably be quoting the Vanity Fair article that covered sort of the what went down behind the scenes, particularly from Snyder's point of view. I just felt a lot of empathy for him, and like I think like this is very very clearly like in the Snyder cut, I mean, a very personal film to him, because the things that mostly resonated with me that really elevated it beyond what we've seen of Zack Snyder, me and Stu having like criticized him pretty thoroughly in the past, like Man of Steel being like loud and dour, and Batman v Superman being like silly and weird and not really altogether there, but not terrible. Like there's such a heart in especially like Cyborg, and even like this is the first time I've ever cared about Snyder's rendition of Superman. Like this is particularly like Lois Lane, like God, Amy Adams finally getting to like flex her acting muscles in the Snyder cut, and whereas in the god awful abortion of a movie that is the Whedon cut, they just put her and Diane Lane in a fucking cubicle break room scene, then have a guy do a microaggression at her because this is Joss Whedon. There's so anyways, but like what Joss Whedon ultimately did to Snyder's cut of or original vision of this movie is he hacked the heart. He cut the heart out of it. Like he cut the beating heart out of it. And I think the beating heart of this movie, for me, like what ultimately really resonated with me was Cyborg's story. Like, not that I think this movie should be edited down any further than like trimming off the last 15 minutes, because I genuinely did not like the last 15 minutes at all. But like there is an incredible, like outstanding Cyborg movie, like in this Justice League movie. Like I think that is because I can't help but read it in the context of Zack Snyder's own loss. Like there's a lot of stuff about the relationship between like a parent and a child, and the loss of a parent or a loss of a child, and it
Parent
it
stuff
lends it such a
is the defining
pathos.
theme of all the main characters, I think, on some level or another. Because
And this is the first time it felt like it had real, like, and I like this is the first time it's really felt like it carried like the emotional weight to sustain even the Snyderisms I don't really like 3D objects being thrown at the camera or whatnot.
they moved from the Nolan Goyer thing, which was like archetypes and mythic iconography, and like doing these like again contrived moral stress tests on these characters, which just like I said, they made it like they kind of lucked out with the Dark Knight, but they couldn't repeat that
Yeah.
formula, and it got annoying, and the stories were just trying when they tried to do it, trying in the sense of like being annoying. I mean, and here by abandoning that and just doing character work, you get like a satisfying big blockbuster where you're invested in the characters. And yeah, like the recurring theme, Aquaman is dealing with his mother's legacy and all the Atlantis stuff and
Nicole
kind of
Kidman.
obligations to the world.
Yeah. Arthur Chu. I keep calling him Arthur Chu in my head.
he's dealing with his ant infestation.
$5. $5. Oh, don't feel confident in sports.
Cyborg's dealing with his strained relationship with his father, who was like absent for so much of his life, and then turned him into this machine guy trying to save him, and the death of his mother. Obviously Batman's whole deal is his dead parents, and then he's dealing with his guilt over
Ben Affleck also just really wants his Dunkin' Donuts.
Best part of my day is when I'm at Dunkin'. You think that's sad?
Yes, very.
The death of Superman. Wonder Woman's kind of just got her dead boyfriend, but her thing is in part being the daughter of Ares.
I mean, she's got the island. Yeah,
and her family back on Themyscira. But it's just kind of the least developed of anybody's things. Flash's dad is in jail for the murder of his mother he didn't commit, and there's multiple scenes. He's visiting him, telling him about how he's going to get into criminal law and do this and that, and his dad's just like, just give up on me, move on with your life. There is some like really on the nose in both cuts where he's like, it's like you're running in place and going in circles. It's like, I get it, he runs
early in the movie. Like I feel like by the end, like by the
it's
second
not bad
half,
it was
like
just
earned.
like really screenwritery,
but I mean like especially the stuff with like another thing just about the difference between these two fucking cuts is like, when they brought, the other besides the big $10 million invested other reason the Whedon cut exists is like they clearly in the Whedon cut just force a lot of like 80 yard like joke one-liners onto the Flash. Like there's I'm thinking there's like in the Whedon cut, like when they've brought like Superman back and they're at like the dissembled like a statue, like there's a back shot and you hear Ezra Miller go like, should we show our bellies or and none of that shit is in the Snyder cut.
There's a lot of really terrible Marvel soy dialogue, for lack of a better term, in there. And the actual finished movie has some of that stuff, but it's integrated a lot better. It's like generally like most of the like stuff you'd call soy, they relegate to the Flash, who is like that guy, who is like the designated guy who is that guy. And then everybody else's like one-liners or jokes feel more or less in character and sort of appropriately motivated as, because I mean, like one-liners and quips are nothing new to this kind of movie. That's like what people loved about something like Die Hard, right?
Or Spider-Man,
Yeah. It was just, we liked them when they were contextually in character appropriate and funny, and not because the way the MCU movies do it, and that's why you get the result in the Whedon cut in this, is you hire just like guys from Twitter or sitcom writers or Dan Harmon or whoever, and they come in, they sit down, they look at the script you've got, and they just cram joke lines in.
Many jokes.
Twice a page or whatever. And it doesn't matter which character or what the context is, they're hired to just jam them in there to hit that like blended, put it in a blender, homogenous, light tone that Marvel movies generally aim for. Whereas this
doesn't
movie,
work here.
Unlike Thor Ragnarok, which we just talked about a bit ago, this movie just has an actual screenplay written by a writer. Maybe not the greatest writer, but a competent, capable screenwriter who is not, in this case, shackled to either David S. Goyer or J.J. Abrams.
Damn,
I mean,
love this movie.
speaking of which, also the other, like, the main visual difference of this movie is Snyder's shot. I think he shot it in 4:3
It looks-
originally
He did.
for
I
IMAX
shot it-
I wasn't
format.
sure if that was like
Actually, it's an even stupider reason than that.
Okay,
It
go
is-
off.
It is. He shot it in 4:3 vertical format because he wanted the superheroes to look big on the screen, to look like they're towering over the audience, because he wants you to be looking up physically at them.
Okay, sound reasoning. It's
Which also makes it,
it's
in my
adorable
opinion,
dumb guy logic, but
yeah,
sure.
it's dumb guy
it's more
logic.
of a
It
comic
also,
book panel type
yeah,
framing.
it looks more like a comic. It really does.
Oh,
I don't.
well, unquestionably, the Snyder cut looks a million times better. Like, we even say on the commentary track while we're watching the Whedon cut, like, how cramped it felt because they had to do like a pan and scan.
It is. It's
job.
pan and scan in reverse, converting a 4:3 ratio into a widescreen by just
So, like,
cropping the
there's
tops
shots that
off,
just
so all
feel
the
like
shots look weird.
unnecessarily like tight. And the other thing is
Like a new pair of
like the
underwear.
color saturation, like, and this is coming from me, Mrs. Like, give me more color in these fucking movies. The color grading on the Whedon cut is
Garish.
So bad.
garish.
It's like a unicorn threw up on the negative. It's fucking
That's
awful.
no,
It's-
that's no, that sounds cool. It's like I said, it looks like a bad, like if you told like a 5-year-old to color, like to recolor the like original like camera footage.
It
That's
just
what
it looks like
it
a
would look
shitty
like.
Instagram filter.
Yeah.
Like literally,
Yeah,
like
oh,
you just
yes.
took the movie and just turned the saturation knob up to 100%, and it's just
It looks awful.
That and a lot of all the reshoots for the theatrical cut are just really bad and done on the cheap. And I mean, not that this movie lacks for green screen and CGI, but like really like. Well, again, it looks like a
It
Marvel movie
looks
because it's just the
so
actors
much
aren't in
better
the
in the
same
Snyder
space
cut, yeah.
together because they're trying to get them after the fact and they don't have the locations. Like the fight when Superman first comes back to life and he like doesn't know who he is or what's going on, and he just starts kicking. Also in the theatrical
Cyborg, yeah.
cut, Cyborg's like suit. His body like goes rogue and starts trying to shoot
There's
Superman.
setup for that in the Snyder cut. There's no setup for
Yeah,
it
in the
the
theatrical cut, there's no explanation for that. It's just like his suit just decided it needs to fight Superman. What? In the
His
theatrical cut, you
suit's
learn,
racist.
it was
Yeah.
built by the mother box, and so it's operating on the same, like it's connected. Like it's still kind of fluffy logic, but
Yeah,
there's
but
like
the
something.
theatrical
Yeah, the
cut-
mother
reason
box is
for
afraid of
it.
Superman, so the guy made out of the mother box would be afraid of Superman.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
And
the
it's like, oh, fuck,
theatrical cut cuts a lot of the setup for a lot of the payoff. So you're just seeing the payoff without context.
It never explains why Cyborg wants to kill Batman.
yeah, or anything. I mean, it doesn't explain why his technology can interface with the mother box stuff at all.
No, so
because
you're
it never explains that
completely
he's made
Adrift.
out of it. It never really explains any of the stuff with why these things are suddenly active now and Steppenwolf is showing up. It never gives Steppenwolf a motivation. It doesn't give anybody a motivation, really. It's just like, you know, Cyborg says, no, I'm not joining the Justice League. And then he says, yes, I'm joining the Justice League. Same with Aquaman.
We love to use the word, speaking of Steppenwolf and Cyborg, we love to use the word greeble. And
It's
I'm right there with you.
trademark.
Sometimes stuff is too busy. I really liked Steppenwolf. I really liked
Steppenwolf is really greebly, but it's consistent. It's
exactly.
It has
one,
cool like
That's what
pattern.
that's
over
what
his
all
whole
the
thing.
apocalypse stuff looks like. Is it's like this weird, incoherent, like nanotech greeble stuff compared to the humans, with the exception of Cyborg, who was made out of that technology. Everyone else looks kind of normal. You know, the Flash's suit doesn't look like Cyborg because it doesn't make any sense. You know.
Yeah, but there's like clear, like I said, it's not so much that detail is bad. It's just kind of like where you put it and whether you get like a clear kind of overall sense or whether things just sort of blur together. And I mean, I don't know if I love Steppenwolf's design in the Snyder cut, But
It's undeniably
it has
better.
some actual distinction. It doesn't feel like it just blends into everything around it, and like your eyes slide off of it because they can't.
No, if
find it.
anything, it's the
looks
like
so
opposite.
gross
it's got all the
in the
little. It's like got all these. It's like this armor made of all these tiny little blades that are just kind of like ticking and moving around. But they're all kind of uniform and so create a pattern.
Exactly. What I love about it is that it's you can tell that the film was shot for this look because when he's like in the room with the Amazons, like all their armor is like reflecting off his and vice versa. There's so much
there's craft in there.
good. I love the lighting in this film. I really do. I love
It
this is the best looking
well
Snyder.
lit.
But the Snyder cut, of course, and I've constantly had a problem with the way his movies look visually, and even though he still maintains the desaturated look of it, there's just enough.
Well,
it's like this is the best looking a Snyder
with the
movie
best
has ever
looking
looked.
scenes in the director's cut of Batman v Superman 2. It's like we're past that kind of like weird again the your eyes slide off at color grading to something that's more contrasty. So it's desaturated, but
dude, when this movie busts out a
contrasty,
primary
there's kind of sharp
color,
highlights and dark shadows, and it creates a dynamic image. Whereas
dude,
Man of Steel was like I said, like wet concrete, and it lacked that dynamism.
When this movie busts out a primary color, you stand up at attention at the Snyder cut.
It's not devoid of color, and when it does
pops.
like Cyborg's red and blue,
red and blue,
glowy shit really stands out.
When the parademons are fighting the Amazons and the whole scene is just lit by the red of the beams. At the end, when the skies are all red and they're like,
the soy is strong with this one.
It's such a comic book thing, specifically a DC Comics thing, because in a lot of their crises they'll have red skies to show that like, oh, this is like intense, it's a callback to
the thing is the thing I kind of attenuated to with the other movies is that a lot of like certain kinds of comic book guy really gravitated to Snyder's stuff because they recognized like he liked the stuff they did and interpreted it the way they did.
Yeah.
And I think, again, with this movie, you have the marriage of particular story and particular version of material that matches Snyder and his style and where he's coming from. So it actually, like you said, like this captures across the board, more or less, the energy of the Bronze Age DC stuff.
Yeah. It's weird. This movie is like the best like Grant Morrison adaptation that isn't a Grant Morrison adaptation because they're both doing that kind of like superheroes as myth and like transcending, human limits. Like I love they give Batman like in the Whedon cut, Batman like basically is a non-entity. He doesn't do anything.
Everyone's a non-entity in the Whedon cut. Nobody.
Yeah, but specifically Batman, like he doesn't ever really get an action scene. And what I love in the Snyder cut is you have to see him like he kills guys, but every time he does, it's like an ordeal. He's
kind of just driving around
he's
shooting
like
bugs
a little
climax in both
he's like
versions.
in a little over his head compared to everybody else.
Exactly.
He just wants to get his goddamn
it is
Dunkin'
kind
Donuts.
of a corny, self-aware type line, but it worked for me in this case where the Flash asks him as they're getting into his fucking fancy car. He's not the Batmobile, just like one of his awesome Bruce Wayne cars.
That car is actually
so what is your
also
superpower? He's like, I'm rich.
That car is also in it's the same model of car that they steal in Spider-Man Homecoming, which is really funny to me.
Oh yeah.
They're both that Audi concept car.
Can I say, and I know certain fans will not like me saying this despite the fact that Ben Affleck is my people. But I don't buy him as Batman.
It's what my old man would have called a Wonder Bread wop. He eats his Sunday gravy out of a jar.
Maybe it's just because I'm like constantly looking at him and I'm just like, that guy just wants to go pick up his Dunkin' Donuts order so bad. But
that's what I like about his Batman though, is he seems like he doesn't want to fucking be here, dude.
I'm not even supposed to be here today. Oh, fuck you.
Well, this is what one of the most interesting and unfortunately kind of like, because I think ultimately Batman v Superman doesn't work, but it's one of the most interesting choices they made was to go middle-aged Batman. He's getting old. He's getting in, you know, again, like with all this space stuff, he's like a little in over his head. He like is struggling to keep up with all the superpowered characters. And he's middle-aged and he's getting burned out. And I mean,
I love the scene when he's trying to take out the little like dark side pill box at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
he has to work to kill like 2 guys. It's really funny.
That Wonder Woman and Aquaman and everybody just tear through.
They are demolishing this.
But that's also what makes him in narratively and in the action scenes. That what makes him compelling is he's
exactly
at the ragged edge of his ability.
Trying
to keep up with all the action.
You really feel that he's doing the best a normal ass human being could do in this scenario. And he did his part. He got them all together. You know, he busted his. I love in the intro to when we first meet Aquaman. It's like he's getting the shit beat out of him by that blizzard. He's walking over a mountain to.
They spend a lot of that runtime,
and then all the villagers are roasting the shit out of him.
Yeah,
and then when he just gives him a wad of cash to
him and his donkey.
To like let me talk to Aquaman. You're poor villagers. Here's just $5 million out of my pocket.
Please let me speak with the South Asian, the clearly South Asian man in your Icelandic village, and they all start singing a Bjork
the
song.
needle drops in this movie were so sick.
Oh yeah, I kind of like the movie because it just because Aquaman is just like shows up every year to bring fish to this starving village, impoverished village.
He's like a myth.
Yeah, and he just hangs out there with them because he kind of doesn't want to be at the center of anybody's attention.
Yeah, they give him a
as he swims back out to sea, like there's like this one woman who's clearly in love with him, and they all just kind of like sing a song for him as he goes. It's this like nice little self-contained moment that a lot of movies wouldn't bother with now because they cut
punctuated by a joke.
To the bone
exactly
to deliver maximal plot. It's just a little moment for the character and for that corner of the world, which in a movie that's kind of, which I like in fantasy movies a lot, when you just have these moments that just add texture to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And this is pretty fantasy adjacent, so it works.
Yeah. I love he gets a little solo action scene that's like Moby Dick, like he's like saving those like whalers from the.
Oh yeah.
That was sick. Okay, go now, Nicole.
Because like he's also his character, like not that we spend like compared to like the other characters as much backstory time with him in the Snyder cut, but he also is kind of like he's pretty much an absolute nothing in the Whedon cut.
Bad.
Just kind of
his character's incoherent in the Whedon cut because he goes back and forth between being like too much of a caricature of like epic party guy and then being like this cynic who just for seemingly no reason in that cut is just like, we shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be here. And it's like, I remember watching that going like, what's the fuck's the deal with Aquaman in this?
And the other thing that obviously the Snyder cut has over the Whedon cut, as if there's like any competition between the two, is Willem Dafoe, Big Dick Willie, is in the Snyder cut in a wonderful long witchy lace front wig.
Party City wig.
And although I thought the underwater scenes, I did not
I'm
like
with you.
the look of the underwater scenes.
Yeah, they're too murky and just a little
dark.
too.
They're way too dark. But as soon as Willem Dafoe shows up, it's something a good time. Like, he elevates everything he's in. He could be in a fucking toothpaste commercial.
Part of the problem with it to me is just like Avatar 2 spoiled me. Like it's like
that's just nothing else. Just doing underwater shit will look good in comparison.
Yeah, like get this Mickey Mouse shit out of here. Go back above the water. The movie goes hard as long as they're above the water.
I mean, the effects are a mixed bag. I would say that protracted action sequence on Themyscira in both cuts had me a little glazed over because it was
I liked it.
CGI and green screen. But I'd say the effects in this movie are mostly good enough to not bother me most of the time. And because they're coupled with like really solid, I mean, Zack Snyder can direct action, really solid action blocking. And what do you?
I think It's time to talk about. Well, we're on the topic of effects.
Yeah. So we're on webcam, and Nicole just has her index finger under her nose. I was trying to.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were like comparing Snyder or Whedon to Hitler
the
or something.
famous Henry Cavill's CGI upper lip in the theatrical cut. What the fuck were they thinking? He looks like Beavis in every scene.
Miguel, please clip in the part where we react to, because that's the first fucking shot of the movie.
Like,
oh,
I forgot this movie opens on this.
Oh God! Oh no! Oh, he looks terrible.
Yeah, look how fucked up you can tell it. He's got the fucked up lip. This is one of the reshoots.
He's got this is one of the reshoots. And it's Superman on Snapchat with the twerking hot dog and the thought dog ears.
Oh, that looks awful. He looks AI generated almost, like just with the lip. It's so off-putting. Oh my God. He looks AI generated. It's like my brain rejects it. And there's like a couple times where that he's like smiling, and it's like the most like icky thing I've ever seen in my life. It's so the story behind it is he was filming Mission Impossible Ghost
something.
Protocol?
Yeah. He had a mustache he couldn't shave.
Well, but he was contractually obligated to keep the mustache, hence why he didn't just shave it and wear like a fake mustache for that movie. And I think it was probably just because that's a Tom Cruise project too, and Tom Cruise, as we know, keeps a tight ass ship. So whatever Tommy wants, Tommy gets.
He keeps a tight ass.
I don't know what the numbers are, but Warner Brothers, when they had to do the reshoots with Joss Whedon for this movie to tack on, like, they basically shot a whole new movie using maybe like 15-25% of what Zack Snyder had already shot cumulatively. But Henry Cavill had the mustache on set for the reshoots, and they had to pay CGI artists and visual effects artists upwards to like
$10 billion,
3 or 5, definitely multiple millions of dollars to erase out his upper lip, and it is the worst looking thing. It's like Peter Cushing in Rogue One levels of like uncanny worse.
It's really bad.
It's the worst thing I've ever seen.
But it's not in the Snyder cut, and it's fucking great. Ooh.
Yeah, like
it's so good.
And it's not in the Snyder cut.
It fucks with the action, the flow and blocking of the action. The action, the reshoots is all way worse.
So bad.
The lighting, it's just like everything about it is just like even the stuff that's from the Snyder cut is like made worse by the cropping and the color grading and the editing. I feel like it would be hard if someone watched the theatrical cut to get them to watch, if they weren't already kind of like on board Snyder cut guys. It'd be hard to get them to watch the Snyder cut because you wouldn't necessarily know if you don't know a lot about how movies are made, which most people know nothing about how movies are made, to convince them that like, no, it's like even the stuff that it has in common, it's like a completely different movie. I've seen a number of director's cuts and stuff in my time, and I don't know if I've ever seen 2 cuts of a movie that are this divergent in just every aspect.
Question: Is this a worse edit job than Suicide Squad?
I mean, it's just a bad movie.
Yeah, because there's no way that the Ayers.
I agree as well.
About the Ayers cut, but there's no way it was that big of a gap in quality.
No. Well,
Suicide Squad is a hack job too. It's a hack job on a movie that probably wasn't great to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, he, by his own description, he wrote it in like a month or something like that. Like,
whereas we know was a good movie. Can that lead us into? I do kind of want to touch upon that Vanity Fair article, because we should as interesting as the content of the Snyder film itself is, it's the production of this movie that like I think is not more deserving of the conversation.
About
I think like
what went
most
down
relevant
turned
to the
Nicole into a
this
complete
podcast.
Snyder stan.
it was weird, actually. It was really weird.
It turned not a Snyder stan, but it it like instantly I was like, oh hell no. Because as we know, Nicole Heads know, I already have substantial beef with Warner Brothers. Um, but like this reading about and I mainly am referring to the Vanity Fair article by Anthony Brenniscan. It's sorry, dude. It's kind of like late at night. I don't feel like pronouncing your name correctly. Uh, but yeah, I besides like the details regarding Autumn Snyder, which we'll get to, but there's so many good tidbits about how evil the like Warner Brothers was over this movie. So I had, as I said, I had not known that the decision to pick Whedon up was not a decision that lied with Snyder. So in the article in 2016, as principal photography got underway on Justice League in the United Kingdom, rumors percolated that Snyder had been fired from the film. That didn't happen, but Warner Brothers then Chairman CEO Kevin Sujihara did assign watchdogs in the form of DC Entertainment creative chief Jeff Johns.
Who
And
Jeff
Warner
Johns
Brothers
sucks,
production
by
head
the way.
John Burke.
Also
The
an
edict was
op.
clear.
Also allegedly has
He
been
fucking
hinted,
sucks.
but
The edict was
Oh.
the edict was clear. At least one of them had to be on set every day, and that was a decision done in reaction to the let's say like tepid reception to Batman v
which, to
Superman.
be fair, is a better
like,
movie than any Marvel
as
movie that came out that year.
I would say so. I mean, very
Like
by a lot,
Civil
but
War.
it is.
Oh my god, dude, it's
Yeah.
so much better than Civil War.
I won't say by a lot. I still don't actually, in the end, ultimately like Batman v Superman, even the director's cut. But yeah, although again, the theatrical cut, I watched the theatrical cut of Batman v Superman and Civil War at first around the same time, and both of them I turned off or halfway through.
Yeah, no, and the Batman versus Superman made money. Like, it wasn't a flop. This was a movie.
No, it just it didn't make as much money as they wanted.
It didn't make Avengers money. Exactly.
Yeah, they panicked over. Yeah, they panicked. The Warner Brothers got. This is a story about fucking greed. Like ultimately, they wanted more money, and so despite the fact that the DCEU was clearly built as a Snyder very much led endeavor, like that is the style you signed on to, sirs. You either stick with it or you fucking don't. But here's another juicy tidbit from the Vanity Fair article. Reports that Snyder himself asked Whedon for help were false. Johns, one of the studio-appointed babysitters, had been planning a Batgirl movie with Whedon, and Snyder and others say Johns recruited him to do rewrites for Justice League. Quote, John's representatives didn't respond for a request for comment. Once again, Snyder was gracious and even hopeful, telling Vanity Fair, I thought maybe he could write some cool scenes. I thought that would be fun.
What if some of the stuff we liked in the Snyder cut was early Whedon contributions, and we're going to look really stupid if that ever comes out?
I don't think anything in the Snyder cut is.
No, I don't. I really don't.
I'm pretty sure I don't think that any of the changes were kept through.
Well, here's the other thing that the Vanity Fair article, and I really do encourage everyone to read this article. It is behind a paywall, but there are ways to get around paywalls.
Literally, just Google paywall unblocker for Firefox or Chrome.
But Whedon and Snyder barely spoke in terms of like this movie. They had, to my understanding, it was like one meeting. Soon it became clear that Warner Brothers was giving Whedon more and more power. He would not just advise during reshoots, but also do some directing himself. And this is still while Snyder was like actively directing the movie before he stepped down. Snyder says he only had one conversation with Whedon about the studio's notes. Reeling from his daughter Autumn's death and finding anguish in their work rather than relief, Zack and his wife Deborah quit. Quote, we just lost the will to fight the fight in a lot of ways, says Zack. All of us, the whole family, were just so broken by losing Autumn. That having these conversations in the middle of it really became, I was like, really? Frankly, I think we did the right thing, because I think it would have been either incredibly belligerent or we just rolled over. So this gets at my main integral problem with the Whedon cut is, as we've alluded to, during the production of this movie, Zack Snyder's, I think she was 20-year-old daughter, she was in college, took her own life. And as you can imagine, the worst sort of thing that can ever happen to a parent. But what this Vanity Fair article, or at least the real details of the production of this film, make really abundantly clear is it seemed Warner Brothers was itching to replace
They were
Zack
trying to
Snyder,
push
or
him out. Yeah.
at
Way
least push
before
his
any of that
influence
happened.
down. And unfortunately, this horrible, like, god-awful tragedy just provided a evil way for them to do so without Zack
I feel
Snyder
like
putting out
you
that
can
much of a
attribute
fight.
I suspect you can attribute this to the fact that Suicide Squad was a huge hit, even though it's a incomprehensible bullshit hack job with a bunch of terrible on the nose needle drops.
Yeah, Jeff Johns is going to hell.
Yeah. And I think after Suicide Squad made a bunch of money, because, and this is the thing that we should zoom out and remember, is these are products, they're commodities assembled by an industry. And the guys who make the money decisions, I think it's abundantly clear with rare exception, have no souls and perfectly smooth brains. And they just looked at the numbers and they thought Joss Whedon number higher. They looked at Suicide Squad and thought goofy tone number higher. They thought it doesn't matter if the reshoots look like shit, if the plot's a mess, if the movie's incomprehensible, it doesn't matter. Because Suicide Squad number higher, no one will care if the theatrical cut of Justice League is ugly and incomprehensible, as long as it's under 2 hours and it has Joss Whedon stuff in it, number higher.
And here's the thing. Warner Brothers also knew that Joss Whedon was a fucking monster too.
Everybody knows.
So here's the
everybody else is a monster, and I think you just get used to it.
But like on the set, actively on the set, like having this podcast being very blatantly like Gal Gadot sucks as an actress. I know, Cole, you'd be like,
no, she's good in this. I mean, she's not like.
I don't think she's good. I think the movie just works around her limitations to where she doesn't actively detract from it as much.
Whedon is such a fucking Funko Pop fascist that, like, I feel bad for Gal Gadot and what she had to go through during those reshoots. So, going back to the Vanity Fair article, when fans ask Snyder about the details of the movie that bears his name, he usually has no idea what they are talking about. Worst of all, for Warner Brothers, Whedon didn't exactly save the movie. When we got to see what Joss actually did, it was stupefying, says a studio executive who requested anonymity. The robber on the rooftop, so goofy and awful. The Russian family, so useless and pointless. Everyone knew it. It was so awkward because nobody wanted to admit what a piece of shit it was. Justice League opened on November 17th, 2017 and catered.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Because Cavill had been making Mission Impossible Fallout during the reshoots, Whedon's team had to digitally erase his mustache in Justice League, which led to bizarre warping of his face. The jokes fell flat, and behind the scenes, some of the cast had revolted. Ray Fisher, that is, had publicly claimed Whedon was abusive on set, that Warner Brothers executives, quote, enabled his actions. Gadot told Los Angeles Times that she had a negative experience with Whedon, which she reported to higher-ups. And yeah, Warner Brothers put Joss Whedon in timeout for a little bit and then let him go. So Joss Whedon's such a fucking scumbag. I feel bad for like the IDF warrior princess.
Yeah, and just like a very arrogant sued. We should talk about him
A
sometime. So I was
monster.
a fan once
Just
upon a time. I really liked Firefly. I grew up on Buffy. It's funny to
I
think.
thought
we all
Firefly was
were.
okay, but I wasn't a Buffy. Yeah,
Well, I mean, I was part of the thing with Buffy is like I was there in the '90s. Right?
that's
When it was
true.
on.
That's
I was a
true.
little kid.
Which was the style at the time?
Because you were 68 years young.
So that's the funny thing I think about now. If you went back in time like 15 years, 10, 15 years, like 2007, 8, after 300 has come out, and you tell like all the movie nerds and stuff, okay, so you've got Zack Snyder and you've got Joss Whedon, and one of them is like abusive and a racist and a sex monster. Guess which one? Zero of them are saying Joss Whedon. and then by all accounts, Zack Snyder is just very easy, very pleasant to work with. And a nice guy.
Yeah, which unfortunately I had fallen into that. Yeah. No, every that was the other thing that like really got me reading through the Vanity Fair article. Like everyone had nothing but like nice things to say about Zack Snyder and how like enthusiastic he was about this movie and how like much it hurt having to step away from it and how like crushed he was to the extent like he has not seen the Whedon cut.
I wouldn't
Here's
want to if I was.
another
No one
tidbit
should
from
see the
article.
Yeah, that's bad.
After the private screening of the Whedon cut, Nolan and Deborah Snyder emerged into the light with a shared mission. They came and they just said, "You can never see that movie," Zack Snyder says during lunch.
Truly, you must never listen to this.
Good Lord. And you know what, though? I think that is the difference. And this is something where I'll even, again, I don't like Man of Steel or such, but I'll extend credit is Zack Snyder is like a guy who really wants to make movies and really wants to make these movies. And nobody involved in Marvel really wants to make Marvel movies. It's just a job. Or if they're interested in it, they're like interested in doing riffs or something and have total contempt for the material they're borrowing from. Which, I mean, like I said, if you're Paul Verhoeven, you can have contempt for the source material.
Which is what the Whedon cut
nobody
does
else
with
ever
material.
really pulls that off. It just makes the movie worse. So in this case, finally, that real passion and craftsmanship found the right story and take on the material to work. And there's something kind of deeply ironic about like they finally had the right like DC finally had the right movie on their hands, one that was good enough it could have kind of like fixed the DC EU. If we have to have cinematic universes, it could have
they had a perfectly good movie on their hands. They could have released it as a miniseries,
and they fucked it up. And they fucked it up because the people who make these decisions don't actually watch movies or interpret. They look at PowerPoint slides and spreadsheets that are just like names and bullet points of like plot and tone elements, like broken down and abstracted so far away from what's actually on screen. There's like no relationship between them. And that's how they make their decisions. Like when you go to pitch a movie in Hollywood, you get into an elevator with the guy and you've got 5 minutes to be like, it's Christine meets Wayne's World or something. Like that's how you pitch movies to Hollywood producers. I'm not kidding. Is you say it's two other things. It's all they make in the minds of the money men. Generally, they make movies the way they make toasters and cars and everything else. Oh, so this car has 250 horsepower and 4-wheel drive and a touch screen and heated seats, and it comes out at this price point, and our market research shows people like heated seats and they'll pay this much for it. And it's like, well, this movie has the guy who made Avengers, and it's got this much diversity and this tone, and it's this meets this, and that made that much money, and that made that much money. It's like it's basically random whether or not that process produces a watchable movie or not.
Almost never.
Well, good movies come out where the money men are still operating on that logic. It's just the people who actually make the movie manage to manipulate that logic and get themselves in a position to make a good movie. but it's an ideological process where they believe that looking at movies that way and that way of thinking about products in general works, when really it's just kind of arbitrary whether or not from that end it does. It's just a shared delusion of the
I mean,
of the
yeah.
of the capitalist class in entertainment, in art in particular, that's how it works.
And that's yeah. And that's the thing that ultimately like makes, again, the Whedon cut of this movie by far the worst thing I've ever seen on this podcast. Thus far, like the greed, the clear greed and naked, just like impatience for profits. Like this movie cost $300 million fucking
Is
dollars. Do you
that's
guys want to know
combining
what it
like
made in the box
is that
office?
just for the theatrical cut?
Yes, that's
Or is that
combining for the theatrical cut, 70 million additional for the Zack Snyder cut, of which Zack Snyder made no money. Like he
I didn't
asked
know
for
that. Holy
nothing
shit.
Bingo, dude,
but
he's the
creative control.
only cape shit director going to heaven.
So Justice League costs $300 million budget. That is including presumably marketing, obviously including the terrible CGI lip job, reshoots, box office $657.9 million. That's not going to cut it in.
I'm amazed it made that much money given how shitty the theatrical cut is.
I know if that's not, and you know that sounds like a lot of money. It's like you're thinking, oh, well, it made its entire money back. But that means it turned a profit of $57.9 million, which,
It's not proportional.
For a $300 million investment, you're not doing Avengers Infinity Wars numbers. You're not doing Civil War numbers. They want to $1 billion. They made this eyeing $1 billion. Batman v Superman was eyeing $1 billion,
Zoom
and when
out
it didn't
here a
hit
bit.
that,
When it comes to the economics of these sorts of things, and that it's never just about this or that movie making its own budget back, is every movie also has to pay for. I mean, there's all the it's like Hollywood accountants hard to really account for because there's so many tricks they play with accounting, so much probably just like embezzlement, and so many marketing costs are kind of not always like factored in a certain way. But then there's also
God, yeah.
Movies also make money off merchandising and license. So it's like the math is kind of hard to do from the outside. But, these movies are also paying for other movies. Like these movies are supposed to make enough money back to take all that profit and plow it into the next movie. Not necessarily the sequel to that movie, but the next big project by the studio and then make more money. It's like a cascade, right? It's like you ever play a cookie clicker game? That's kind of like what the whole point of all this is a constant acceleration of a rate of profit, if you will. And so these companies, because they're always trying to grow, right? That's because your stockholders who own a share of the company just want to see the value of the stock go up. That's all that matters to them. It's not the dividends. It's not the sliver of the profits they get. It's the value of the stock itself going up, which they can then not even necessarily sell to turn into cash, but can use as collateral to get loans to then buy more things. It's just a constant inflation of hypothetical wealth. And what that means is that every company is always trying to grow as much as possible to inflate its balance sheet, which means all these companies generally, some have big cash reserves and buffers, but most of them, what they do is they have however much money they can afford to put into a project or a product, and then however much they can borrow based on what they're worth and what their expected revenues are. So they borrow up to the absolute limit of what they can and put that into everything too. So there's no buffer. There's no room for error. All these companies are super leveraged. So if they're not constantly making huge returns on their on their products or projects, they their value decreases, their expected revenue goes down. It limits how much more they can borrow, the rate they can borrow at, and it means that they don't have the income to pay for the debt they already have. So it's this constantly like building a house of cards underneath yourself up into the sky, higher and higher and higher. And the higher you go, and the more you accelerate, and the more leveraged you are, the more like debt you accumulate relative to your value and your income, the easier it is for everything to just implode. Like even like that's why I think they got bought out by Discovery. Is this amalgamation of corporations that is under the banner Discovery is looking for quick and easy ways to expand, to look bigger on paper. And buying a whole other company means you can go, we have all of this equipment, all of these studios, all these contracts, all this intellectual property. And you can have so much fun with numbers when it comes to intellectual property. You can just say, well, we own Superman. That's worth $1 trillion. Who can say it's not? It's Superman. But that also means that they take on a bunch of debt to buy Warner Brothers, and they absorb all Warner Brothers debt. So it keeps going, right? A company implodes under its debt, and another company just buys it and takes all that debt on. But they can get along for another few years because now they look that much bigger and their stock goes up that much more.
Which was the style at the time.
Yeah, sounds like it fosters a lot of creativity, doesn't it, listeners?
Yeah, it's this whole fucking rickety apparatus, and the guys that spend all day figuring out, which parts to buy and which parts to sell to keep it going are not interested in movies. They don't care. It's all just amalgamated anomalous product. It's omni consumer product. And so
it's all profit for them.
And so they're not thinking like they don't, like any sane, rational person can look at the theatrical cut of Justice League, can look at all the fucking reshoots and all the decisions they made and go, that's all stupid. Because you're operating from a normal logic, not from the abstracted, insular, ideological realm of the top levels of the business class, of the bourgeois.
They are not normal people. The people who are making the people who ultimately have both creative and business control over the movies we talk about.
Oh yeah, they think they're smart and we're dumb.
They do not know what the fuck they are doing. They are stupid. They think you are stupid. They think this whole thing is stupid.
Yeah, we're
these are despicable people. And this is like the true death of cinema lies with them.
And so as far as they're concerned, it's all just slop. None of it matters. I mean, there are money guys and producers who like care about movies. They might be dumb about them, but they care at certain levels. But and they've always existed. But the higher up the chain you go, and the bigger the company is, the more it's just that pure like video, like you play like a game called Movie Simulator, and it's like you make a movie and you slot in like it's going to be a romantic comedy with this star and this star, and it'll do this, and there's no real movie. It's just these stats and abstractions. That's how they think about real movies in the real world. And the bigger these companies get, and the more they all absorb each other and amalgamate, the higher the stakes are, the more money's involved, the more management and stockholders are removed from whatever it is they actually do, because they own 5% of everything. And that's another important thing about how this all works, is there are few discrete corporations anymore. Like, look at fast food, Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King. They're all competitors. They're competing in the market to have the best product, the lowest price, whatever. That's bullshit. There's like these giant holding firms. If you're rich, you put your money into BlackRock or one of these investment companies. And what those investment companies do with your money is they buy 5% of every company. 5% of McDonald's, 5% of Burger King, 5% of Wendy's, or 10% or something is owned by BlackRock, and then another 5 or 10% is owned by another holding firm. You go to the horse races and everybody's betting on every horse. There is no competition. There's no separate companies. The world is a business, Mr. Beale. There are no nations. There are Enron Enron was before that movie came out. It's a Standard Oil and stuff. But even now, those companies are all just owned by the same few thousand people, just in slight apportions, appointed all of them.
Yeah, no, I remember, because everyone is now operating on the mindset of making the next Avengers. Like, that first one made so much fucking
Yeah.
money,
And
I distinctly
whatever
remember, like, at the, AT&T store in Boston, they had life-size figures of all the Justice League characters. Like, there was a major marketing campaign that was poured into this movie, and I'm not sure if the 300 million figure I read off included the marketing cost. It would be
the
insane
budgets
if it
often
didn't.
don't include marketing.
That's even more insane, but, like, so for something to fail on this many levels, to me, is unprecedented so far, at least in the context of
In the
the
context
things
of
we've
our show,
talked,
yeah,
in the
there's
context
definitely
of our
been
show.
failures on this scale
Oh,
before.
definitely.
I mean,
But
well, Valerian was the French equivalent of
the
that. And
front,
again,
but Valerian also didn't make me want to kill myself and everyone around me. It like I wrote like I think Andy from those good old fashioned values hopped on just as we had finished recording, and it was like the gif of Donald Glover walking in with pizza boxes to a room just on fire because I was
oh
just
yeah,
mid
that
rant.
scene from Community, yeah.
I was mid rant, like just murder in my eyes, and I think you said like I think this is the angriest I've ever seen you.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And again, like if you want to know, it's like why did like all the AAA video games suck now? It's the exact same reason. It's because
Mhm.
some guy running the studio under pressure from money men above him who are under pressure from stockholders or whatever is like, well, this game made a bunch of money and it had that feature. So jam that feature into our game, even though it's halfway through development and was never meant to incorporate it and it's not going to work and it won't have time to be done right and it won't fit. Just jam it in there because it's a bullet point on the spreadsheet on the Microsoft PowerPoint that says it will make money. Whether or not it actually makes sense doesn't matter. Whether or not audiences actually want it doesn't matter. That all exists. You know, none of that's on the PowerPoint presentation, so it's not real. You know, we're that's saying don't let all like there's this tendency, I think, to look at power and wealth and assume on some level that the people have it for some reason, that you don't become king or a billionaire without some skill or genius or cleverness. And I mean, some of them are clever, I guess, or something.
But no,
There's
guys, the
some
majority of them are dumb
capacity,
as shit
but
and like Elon Musk.
yeah, no, they're idiots.
They're the pea brain.
They're probably dumber than average and further removed from reality.
Have you seen the replies of the blue check marks on Twitter lately? They're just some of the most
Well, those are
mind-meltingly dumb
wannabes.
shit.
Those are the guys that
Yeah,
think
those are the
their
guys who are like, I'm
fucking
in crypto.
JPEG of
And
an ape is going to make them one of these people. But yeah, no, there's no, not that there aren't conspiracies and such, but there's not a cabal of geniuses playing 4D chess with a 1,000-year plan for how they're going to rule the world, who for whom everything is a scheme within a scheme. No, it's maybe they think of themselves that way, but these people are by and large midwits, if not morons, who run the world. And that it is in a way maybe scarier, but in a way it means that they're maybe not quite so hard to beat as they seem. But yeah, no, they're the bigger all of these businesses get, the more amalgamated and conglomerated, the more layers of corporations owning corporations owned by blocks of investment firms. The more the stuff they do and make is going to suck. The fewer, the more the needle between craft and artistry, or even just grounding in reality and this abstracted commercial drive and irrational logic tilts towards the commercial drive. Like it's no surprise that like Disney products on average got worse when they got a lot bigger and started pumping out a lot more of them at a higher cost, aimed at a higher overall return. Justice League.
Well, here's another
It's bad.
the Whedon Justice League. Yeah, we've thoroughly trashed the movie, but I do also want to comment. I Again, I didn't love the Snyder cut, but I think it is definitely the best thing Snyder's
It's
done.
I mean,
but the
Nicole
other
has
thing I
been
want to
killed.
highlight. Okay, well, here's the thing. If you're in our Discord, I initially gave it a 3 out of 5, and you immediately messaged me, that's too low, N-word.
That's too low.
if I was, I don't know, if I
I
still
got
gave
pressured
ratings, it would be
into
like a strong 3.5 or a soft
No.
4.
I
Dude,
ultimately settled on a
it's
3.5 because I do think that the emotional beats of the movie are outweigh slightly outweigh the things I don't like and that are inherent to Zack Snyder's style. Like, you still get 3D objects thrown at the camera. You do get kind of the stupid or self-indulgent kind of bits that go on too long, but ultimately there is a pulse and a beating heart in this movie.
I mean,
But
I will say
but the other thing I really liked about the Snyder cut was the score. I really dig the Junkie XL score. I thought
it
it was
sets
Nicole
the
has been
tone
returned to
way
life.
better. The
Oh my
phoned
God.
in Elfman score they pasted over the theatrical cut really
God bless
just
Danny
adds to how
Elfman. He
fucked
can
up
do
it is.
whatever he wants now, but that's it was just a pay cut job. They canned the Junkie XL score like after it was completely done. I think by the time they were like, yeah, well, we're gonna bring in Danny Elfman instead because we want to make this sound lighter and less like a discotheque, which like people shit on Hans Zimmer a lot on film Twitter, but I have not met a
I mean,
score of his I don't like.
he's become a brand, and a lot of his
He's
stuff now isn't him. It's like underpaid,
I mean,
abused interns.
I mean, that's true, but I don't think it's fair to say he's never made a good score because like the Batman
No, I wouldn't go
Dark
that
Knight
far.
score is very good. I really like the Wonder Woman guitar riff. Miguel, edit in the guitar riff right there. It's gnarly. It's the best thing related to Wonder Woman that's come out of these DCEU films by far is that Wonder Woman guitar riff.
I did have it. Like, I mean, there's various things I could nitpick with this movie that I don't feel like it'd be that interesting to. Because yeah, overall I liked it. Overall, I think all the pieces fit together and it works, and generally looks pretty decent and sometimes really striking. One thing I think, like, this movie definitely has a lot of kind of fanboyish self-indulgence, but I can roll with it mostly because it's coming from, I think it's like it's not just totally like here's what the audience will like. It's like here's what I like, and I can accept that kind of thing a lot more than I can when it feels totally less calculating. Although there's this really great, genuinely I think really great scene between Martha Kent and Lois Lane when they're grieving Superman. And
yeah, I
felt
think it's
it was
ruined
kind of
by
undercut
the Martian.
that at the end, Martha walks out of Lois's apartment and then turns out to be Martian Manhunter shape-shifting.
It's him learning how to be human.
Yeah, but he's aside from that epilogue, he's not in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like you can work backwards and infer what's going on there. But I kind of felt like the scene would have, I don't know, either he needed to be in the movie a bit more to give that some context, or I could have just had that be a nice scene between Martha, who's other's barely in the movie.
He's in the movie more. He meets Lois. No, he meets Lois because he's the general. You know?
Oh yeah, that too.
Hey, Lois.
Yeah.
But just like his, like I don't know. I like that scene so much. I kind of would have preferred if it was just actually Martha and Lois talking about their grief over Superman, and it's just a little too much comic book bullshit for right now.
No. I don't mind.
I genuinely don't like I genuinely hated the last 15 minutes because it's clearly shot on a green screen in front of Zack Snyder's like driveway or something. So it's like super tight
trying to build
close-ups on
hype
everybody.
for the sequel that is almost
Never gonna
certainly not going to
happen.
happen.
And it's Jared Leto yucking it up and
Yeah, we don't
which
need
just
we
sounds
don't
like
I
a
don't want to see
baby.
any more Jared Leto.
I don't either. Get him off the screen. He's right now. He's running around in a furry costume at the Met Gala, just as Karl
I like this
Lagerfeld's
movie.
dead cat.
No,
I know
I
you
liked
love
it too.
this movie,
The
but
thing
you
I
don't
think,
like Jared Leto Joker.
if I
You
wanted to
don't.
close out, I would say that the thing with Zack Snyder and again where he finally kind of I think hits the note with this movie is the MCU stuff is embarrassed to kind of summarize kind of the thesis we've been working through with some of these other movies. The MCU stuff is so embarrassed of the subject matter that it does the like I don't want to call it irony, but the lamp shading
Yeah.
and the constant like, look how silly this is, but now you need to take it seriously and be emotionally invested. But look how silly this is. Because it's like trying to give you permission to like it without feeling embarrassed yourself.
Which is
And
why
because
they
most of the
gravitated
people
towards
making
Whedon,
it don't like it or
you know?
care about the source material. And then it felt like the Snyder stuff and the stuff kind of the other flip side of the coin, the more serious comic book movie stuff was like, so it was also felt sort of embarrassed of itself, but it was like trying to compensate for that by being so very pseudo intellectual and super, I don't want to say too serious or unserious, but like aiming for like that kind of like overly dour tone. But he did have what he brought to the table that I think resonated with like the big Snyder heads and stuff was that he genuinely loved the source material and was like, whereas Marvel movies, like I complained about this with Ragnarok, constantly deflate any sense of awe or wonder or imagination or like, the Amazing Spider-Man never seems amazing. The Incredible Hulk never seems incredible. Whereas these movies like really want you to feel awe. They really want you to be like, they want you to see Superman fly and be, holy shit, that dude's flying. And this movie again manages to land that. And I always appreciated that it was striving for that because I kind of want, I'm not going into movies trying to be cynical. I would like to be impressed. I would like to see a dude fly and be like, holy shit, he's flying. That's what we want. If we're going to have Hollywood spectacle movies, let's have some spectacle. And at least this movie more or less most of the time manages to actually hit that note. Sort of visually and in the kind of story it's telling to feel epic. So yeah, I guess that's kind of my concluding thought there. And I guess, yeah, it sucks that Warner Brothers DC finally had the movie that hit that note, but the money guys had already just given up on that and were just trying to emulate Marvel because they think like machines. They are the algorithm.
Death upon them and their families. Truly. Like, again.
All right, yeah, you guys do your concluding thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm on record for not being a big fan of Zack Snyder, obviously. I still don't really vibe with his style, but, like, no, Cole was 100% correct. This is a good ass movie relative to the slop we have to watch most of the time for this fucking podcast. And of course I'm referring to the Snyder cut because the Whedon cut is legitimately the worst thing I have ever watched in my fucking life. How a studio can take something that someone invested their entire heart and energy into and just hack it into absolute nothing. And that's the thing that ultimately, I guess, to use the term, Snyder pilled me. Still not a fan of his movies, but like I'm rooting for him. He has a vision. I don't really like the vision, but I think every director should have full creative control over their vision and should not be dictated by the whims of stupid ass suits who have nothing but like cryptocurrency stocks and cum on their brains. And just the Whedon cut of this movie is the prime example of what that kind of business mindset and approach to these like cinematic universe, like big tentpole movies, are. It's the most it's literally one of the most unethical things I've ever watched in my entire life. Just like knowing the things I read in that Vanity Fair article about how Snyder talks about Autumn in particular, her struggles with depression and her own self-worth are just some of the most heartbreaking things I've ever had to read. And you know, like as much as we had previously criticized like Batman v Superman and Man of Steel especially as being, dumb, stupid, loud, whatever, like whatever you think about Zack Snyder, what WB and Warner's and the execs and Joss Whedon did to him should happen to absolutely nobody, regardless of how much you don't like their movies or whatever about their movies. Like that should happen to absolutely no one.
What happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day.
And especially having seen the 4-hour cut of what he originally wanted, they hacked a perfectly good thing to pieces.
If they had just taken
just leave it alone,
a hiatus,
leave it alone,
and then released that movie, it would have been cheaper and made more money.
For real.
All of this fucking reshoot, fuck it up, release it, like just shooting yourself in the foot 3 times in a row.
Cole, what about you? I want to stop giving emotional energy to Joss Whedon, because this is, I think, going to be the last Joss Whedon thing we fucking touch, because I especially don't want to fucking look at his thumb ass fucking neckbeard face ever again. Fuck you.
Mine is nowhere near as emotionally charged, at least to the production side of the movie. I like this. I love the Snyder Cut. It's probably one of my favorite movies of the 2010s. Maybe we can shoot a bonus where I go over all the cool Kirby shit and all the plans that Snyder had for the future. That might be a fun bonus.
Top 20 references and Easter eggs and
that is going to be the most autistic episode of this podcast.
I noticed in the epilogue, or not quite that, but like the denouement before the epilogues, that they had Batman with the like bat tank from Dark Knight Returns.
They have the bat tank. They were gonna have Green Lantern, because I guess Martian Manhunter was something that Snyder wanted to include in Man of Steel, and like Nolan and like all those other freaks were like, no, that's dumb. You can't do that. But
it's not serious enough. It's for our Superman movie.
Yeah, the General was apparently always supposed to be Martian Manhunter. I only found that out recently. They were going to have a scene sort of similar to the one in the Snyder Cut where it's like, yeah, Superman taught me, like, I don't have to hide who I am anymore. One of the weirder choices for characters that they have in this movie is the Atom. Specifically the third incarnation, the Ryan Choi Atom. He's the Asian doctor that's boys with
that guy.
I didn't know he was like, I thought he was some guy because they have like a name drop near the end that felt like
and he has a lot of dialogue too.
He's the Atom, the basically like Marvel's Ant-Man or DC's Ant-Man, except I think he came first. He's a shrinky guy, he shrinks, yeah. And I think they do tease that he shrinks
and he comes first.
He shrinks in the movie, or they like reference, they're like, oh dude, this metal that we got out of the like spaceship or whatever is like super dense, and we could use it to shrink or whatever. I don't know. There was some scene in there where they're talking about metal, and I'm like, is this like setting up the Atom? And then he's like, he turns to the camera and he's like, "My name is Ryan Joy, and I will be back," except not, because none of these characters are ever, well, not entirely. Some of these characters will be in The Flash,
They're
which
in
is
that weird position where they've got like some popular characters they need to carry over while also rebooting the universe. So it's like,
yeah.
what are they going to do with Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn, and Ezra Miller, the Flash,
I'm gonna be
maybe, and Aquaman?
okay. I'm just gonna warn both
They
of you.
have like a real weird issue with continuity.
The way
Yeah.
Cole was throughout this episode talking about the Snyder cut is going to be me throughout Birds of Prey, and neither of you are allowed to like bitch at me about it.
I'm gonna bitch, but mostly just from a comic perspective.
Okay, you're allowed to do that, but girls just want to have fun, and the movie
Let
is the
girls
incarnation.
enjoy things.
Let girls enjoy that. Let girls specifically enjoy things like the Met Gala. You'll be impressed to learn I have not, well, an occasional look through. I have not looked at any of Met Gala
Look,
pics while we've been recording.
we're basically at the end of the episode, so let's do our watch something else and our thank yous.
Watch
and
the
then maybe
Snyder
we can
Cut.
talk about
Watch the
Met
Snyder
Gala.
Cut,
Yeah,
obviously.
Watch
actually,
the
we don't need
Snyder
to do a
Cut.
watch something
Yeah.
else, I guess. We all
Watch
like
the
it.
Snyder Cut, and then like if you want to just like read like a version of this that goes even harder, read like Jack Kirby's Fourth World, and then first smoke a lot of weed. Okay, smoke a lot of weed. Read Jack
Yeah.
Kirby's Fourth World.
Wait, was
and
Jack
then,
Kirby a weed guy?
No, he was the funniest thing about Jack Kirby is he was like super straight edge. In fact, he has like multiple interviews where he's like, "Yeah, no, I like turn that shit down at parties." Like people he's fascinating because all of the stuff that he was really into came from weed guys. Like he was really into B movies and bikers and hippies, but he himself, like, there are like accounts from just about everyone that knew him about how they like tried to offer him drugs, and he would cuss them out usually. Yeah, he was super straight edge.
I mean, there's always guys like people are like, oh, the stuff is so weird and psychedelic. What are they smoking? It seems like they always turn out to be like guys that don't do drugs.
Yeah, no, you can't make shit like that when you're high. When you read it high, it's a better experience, you know.
Yeah,
it's like how Kevin Smith didn't smoke weed like until like halfway through until his movies started getting like really really bad. Like I think the first like weed movie he did was like Zack and Miri Make a Porno or something.
Oh God.
Yeah. Weed is one of those things where it's like you can do some really like when I'm like writing or something. It's like sometimes smoking weed really helps me like kind of get out of a rut and find new connections or ways of doing or phrasing things or something. But it can also lead you to think a lot of really bad ideas are good, or to like lose track of what you're doing. And like I remember I wrote a script high, and I kept changing what a character's name was going to be, and then forgetting to like change their name kept changing. So even if you make something high, you want to go back and take a solid sober look at it after the fact before you put it out into the world.
No, yeah, there's read high, like write high, edit sober.
Yeah, very much so. Or like get high and like note down your really cool ideas, and then see if it still seems like a cool idea when you're not high.
Exactly. Yeah. See if you can even make sense of it. And then after you're done smoking weed and reading Jack Kirby, start smoking weed and start smoking more weed and reading Grant Morrison's Justice League, and then like do like a heroic dose of whatever psychedelic you prefer, and top it off with Final Crisis.
All right. Well,
those are your comic book watch something else.
I would literally recommend watching anything else than the Whedon cut. I'd recommend Two Girls, One Cup over the Whedon cut for real. There's more artistic integrity in that movie. At least all participants were clearly consenting.
And less mistreatment of women.
But speaking of which, I'm gonna recommend if you're gonna watch any fucking movie instead of
Nicole's gonna recommend
Whedon,
fucking.
close. I'm gonna recommend Sallow or the 120 Days of fucking Sodom.
No.
Speaking of Two Girls, One Cup.
Yeah, that was my tie-in.
Is it the last movie you watched?
That is the last.
Sallow?
I think the last movie before I watched just Whedon Cut Justice.
Everyone go around in a circle. What's the last movie you watched? Just in general.
Lawrence of Arabia, which I was going to recommend because it's also 4 hours long.
You know, I downloaded the 4K. I put it on my server. I'm excited to check that out.
It's it's a classic old school Hollywood epic. Well, like Anglo Hollywood epic. So it's like, great kind of like that kind of like more old fashioned style theatrical performance. Looks great, just fantastic landscape photography, scenes with like hundreds of extras, just that good shit.
Nice.
Yeah,
the Britain built an empire off of repressed homosexuals with bipolar.
Yeah. What about you, Nicole?
Well,
what was the last movie you watched?
Well, not you mean in general or before?
In general,
yeah. I watched. It was all right. It's a movie called Mayday with Mia Goth in it. Another noble entry into the look out, Mia Goth has a weapon cinematic universe. It struck me that like the X series is like John Wick for women today. So I really can't emphasize though how much I want to like urge our listeners to watch Sallow. Unironically though, like it is legitimately one of the best movies I've ever seen. In the way of like a movie that literally knocks the shit out of you and like gobsmacks you and makes you think you've seen the other side of God. Gorgeous fucking movie about the worst of humanity. But also as it relates to the Justice League, everyone on that set was clearly having a good ass time. Even though if it's totally up in the air whether Pasolini was in fact killed over the movie or if it was just like rough trade. But if a director were to be killed over a movie, this would be the movie in question. But at the end of the day, still a more ethically made movie than anything that went on behind the Whedon cut.
I think Sallow is actually about Warner Brothers executives.
It is. Oh, absolutely. That's what they were doing during their restructuring plan. I don't think I'm imagining like Kevin Sujihara as like the really fucked up looking the one who's like the scariest looking man I've ever seen because he's like slightly cross-eyed. I think it's the president in Sallow. That's the Warner executives. It's not a Yakko and Wacko. None of those fun guys.
I guess last movie I watched was Dragged Across Concrete. I liked it.
Oh, I should watch a Craig Zahler, even though he loves Mel Gibson.
The only one of his I've ever seen was Bone Tomahawk, which I remember liking. So I guess, Nicole, do you want to thank our patrons? I know we've got a couple new ones since the last episode. We got a new supporter has joined the executive producer tier.
Is that the super high one?
Yeah, that's the $10 one.
Sick.
All right, and thank you to our patrons: Lohik, one true patron; Burn Venters, Nomi, Devin Meenan, Trent, Owen 2, Cly, Jordan Marsh, Sean Burns, Jean Paul, Tank Buster, Jack Donald, Genevieve, Selton Bank, Ronnie Gardochiki, Violet, Joshua Jenkins, and Stephen Francisco Santana. Update: we are not going to be using your money to buy Stu an air fryer because Stu went ahead and bought a fucking air fryer without consulting either of us.
It was on sale. The sale was ending that day.
What kind of air fryer is it? Tell us about it.
The new model Ninja Foodie, which is like an embarrassing name to say out loud.
Oh, I had a Ninja air fryer for a while. I actually have a mini Ninja.
It's the one. It's the same. It's a newer version of the one I bought my parents a couple of years ago. And this one, instead of it does like the steam cooking and slow cooking and pressure cooking modes too. But this one, instead of having to like put a separate lid for the pressure cooking one, it's all in one. unit with a slider, so it can actually like with just one go, it can like steam and then fry your food. So you can like put like a chicken or something in it, and it'll steam it and get it real juicy and cooked through, and then convection cook it so it's crispy on the outside but tender and
This has been foodie chat.
chewy, or not chewy, but like.
Well, now you got to come up with a what do we want? What do you want to frivolously spend or encourage patrons to donate their money for to your benefit? If it's not an air fryer anymore,
what
do you want?
Heroin.
You know what? I do need a 4K. I need a 4K Blu-ray player to go with my TV.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh, okay, we will be buying Stu a PS5.
Oh, PS5 is like $600, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe not refurbished.
I don't.
But they don't have those.
I wouldn't buy a refurbished game console.
All right, my dad.
Especially not a PS5.
Yeah. It just melts the week after I get it.
It's crazy. I went to Walmart today, and they just had like PS5. Like you could just buy a PS5 there, and I was like, whoa.
Really? They've been so hard to get for so long. But no, so I guess this would be the end of the Justice League discussion. But if our listeners want to stick around for a little bit, maybe there's a couple things we could close out on for a few minutes. First off,
breaking news on the front of
on the front
people are very upset about the Flash's costume. Did you see that tweet?
No.
See the tweet, the person that was complaining that the Flash's mesh suit looks like a vagina.
Oh yeah, I didn't see it. I don't know whether they're
right.
Anatomical diagram.
They're right.
No, the problem is that suit looks completely like VFX and not like an actual thing someone physically made or whatnot. Not that it looks like vaginal mesh.
I had two things I was curious about. First, Cole, what is the deal with Martian Manhunters? I've like seen them around in some of the stuff I've read.
Are we still recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is like a little bit of a post game for a few minutes.
Wait, what does Martian Manhunter look like?
Yeah, Martian Manhunter's like I like him. He's got a cute little backstory. You know, he was the last living Martian because there was a plague that wiped all the other ones out. And he's just alone on Mars for like hundreds of years because Martians are super long-lived. And they end up this like human teleportation experiment tries to teleport like fossil samples to Mars or whatever. And he gets caught up in the beam and sent to Earth. And the professor, this like old man, it's the 1940s, you know, and this is actually a comic from the 1940s. It's very old.
I didn't know he goes back that far.
I think so, yeah. Let me look up Martian Manhunter first appearance. 1955. So yeah. Yeah.
Not to be confused with the Looney Tune guy. What's that?
That's Marvin the Martian. I don't think anyone's...
Marvin the Martian.
Not to be confused with Marvin the Martian. This is another Warner Brothers related Martian.
Yeah.
Guy.
So
another green
the teleport
guy.
beam. You know, the professor wasn't expecting there to be a guy at the other end. So when he has a fatal heart attack from seeing that he like plucked a Martian off the surface of Mars, and he becomes just like a little super guy. Doesn't have a lot of comic experience or appearances outside of the Justice League. Like he's usually just like he's the Justice League guy, sort of how in Marvel, like, you know, the Hawkeye doesn't have a lot of comics, but he's in like every Avengers team.
Yeah, he's just a gay guy in tights.
He doesn't have a lot of main series of his own, but he's kind of always around for group stories.
Yeah. And one of the really good Martian Manhunter stories is Darwin Cook's New Frontier uses Martian Manhunter as one of the frame characters. That shit's great. One of my favorite comics of all time. It's got the great scene of him learning how to talk to people by watching TV. but he's a shapeshifter, you know, so he just sort of like keeps turning into different characters. Like he watches a Bogart movie on TV and starts acting like Bogart, and then he watches like a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Does that
Oh,
mean he
that
can make
sounds
his
fun.
cock as big as he wants?
I guess, yeah.
It's an interesting question.
How big you think the Justice League's what's the cock lineup, you think? Who's got the biggest cock out of there?
Just
Superman?
lining them like one of those police
Yeah.
lineups with the
Yeah.
measuring thing, and it's just dongs
Yeah,
hanging
who do
down.
you think what's
I have
the
no
biggest versus
idea.
smallest?
Yeah, I don't know enough about the material to really say.
I don't know. I'm gonna say
It's hard to imagine
Barry
the Flash
Allen
with a big
smallest.
dick.
Yeah, I'm
doing
gonna
so
say
much
he's
running
got the
around.
smaller. It's probably not small, but it's definitely like Superman has a big ass hog. Like, oh, that's the other thing. We in the Snyder cut, there's a clip. There's a this knocked the fuck out of me. There's a cut to the inside of Lois Lane's bedside drawer, and there's a pregnancy test.
Oh yeah, a box
So-
of them.
So she's trying to get that that super sperm
Sporn.
up in her guts.
Yeah, that's actually him. That was the plan for the original Justice League duology. Was going to was also, I think, going to be a 4-hour long movie.
Yeah, I think Superman got like a real big cock. Though
Yep,
he's got the biggest one.
You
I
heard
think.
it. You heard it here first.
Superman's got a big cock.
Nicole thinks Superman is packing.
I think Aquaman's probably uncut. At least Arthur Curry. What is it? Arthur Curry. Arthur Curry. Why is his last name fucking Curry? What is he?
No, that's a white name.
I am fucking with you.
Another weird thing about Martian Manhunter is he's actually a founding member of the Justice League. They in the New 52, they give his role to, because Cyborg's a Teen Titans guy.
Teen Titans.
And
I
in the New
familiar with
52,
that,
the Jeff Johns lineup added Cyborg instead of Martian Manhunter, who is now no longer a Justice Leaguer. He got like demoted essentially in the New 52 reboot. And I'm glad that was Snyder being like, you know, he deserves his spot.
Yeah.
You know.
And I guess having concluded that, what is a Martian Manhunter? Who is the Martian Manhunter? Nicole, Met Gala.
Met Gala
Live reactions.
update.
What is Pedro Pascal wearing?
Pedro Pascal is serving. Excuse you.
I think he looks ridiculous.
You guys think
He's
he looks
wearing
ridiculous?
Little boy short shorts with a big long red coat.
Wait. I totally forgot. Do you guys have seen Seinfeld, right?
Of course.
Do you remember the
puffy shirt?
No, do you remember the black lawyer in Seinfeld? Like the guy who keeps trying to like get Kramer to sue these businesses and then they fucks it up?
I'm not sure if I've rewatched that episode or gotten an episode on my kind of.
Why is he at the Met Gala?
No, he plays Martian Manhunter in Smallville.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. I posted it in voice text. That's actually really good. Now I got to get to that point in Smallville because I don't remember him.
Jackie Childs. Look at that.
Like
that guy is so cool looking. Look at him.
A parody of Johnny Cocker. Oh, okay. Yeah. 7th through 9th seasons. I haven't, I think I got up to 5 when I was just kind of watching through it a while ago.
Now I got to see what he looks like in, he looks bad in damn, that Smallville budget was not hitting.
Bad Bunny's serving cunt with a
that's not
broken.
Good. It's too bad.
There's an open back on the suit.
Oh, are you talking about Martian Manhunter or are you talking about
No, I'm talking about the
Martian
Met Gala.
Manhunter in Smallville. But
do you think who do you think would serve cunt at the Met Gala from the
Martian Manhunter? Easily, dude, he can shapeshift into any guy.
He's gonna show up as Jared Leto.
That is not a good look.
Cat suit.
Yeah, well, show me this Jared Leto cat suit at the Met Gala.
I posted it in the Patreon.
Oh, that's right. Everyone's posting everything in different rooms.
You can cut this, Miguel. We're just trying to figure out a good place to end the episode, but
I'm on Blue Sky now, I guess.
oh yeah, Cole lives again on Blue Sky.
If
so
you
if
can
you're
get on Blue Sky, I'm
yeah,
not.
if you can get on.
Please,
Blue
yeah,
Sky,
please get on Blue Sky.
please
We need
send
more
me
people
your code.
on Blue Sky.
Please send me the invite.
They're being stingy with them now, but yeah, they are.
Yeah, they need to make it. We need to populate and go forth and spread our empire.